budget up this year is last year the budget was, delineated into 4 specific buckets, and we ran ourselves into a little bit of trouble where things were moving quickly and needed to change, and we were some of our money was locked up in business outreach, for example, that wasn't yet ready. So this year we're trying to break it up in terms of, for example, digital, where you have all of your digital hard costs in one bucket. So now if the subcommittee and the executive committee are in a place where, say, commercial C&D ordinance is coming and we need to educate on that, we can take a piece of this money and use it for that. So we've broken the dollars up a bit. I have spoke with Sam on it. He's in agreement that we just need more flexibility along the way. And that's what you see here. But the split, I just want to point out, is the same exact split as we had this year to get to the 650. Nothing's changed. Because in the year ahead, remember, it's still a membership fee, essentially, to be part of the authority. The surcharge won't begin for the following year. So from what I understand, Sam, and I don't know if you want to weigh in, but the budget is essentially remaining.
I'm sorry, say it one more time. The budget is essentially what?
Remaining.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And
Correct.
then, thank you. And then under here, so some of the things we had spoke about, if there are additional funds, and Sam, you can speak to that. I know you've been in other meetings regarding the budget that I have not been in, but we'd love always to do some additional video production for educational campaigns. So we added in some money for that. Elisa has many times been short on volunteers, and I'd love to just give her a staff hour. I think we worked in, 15, 20 hours a month, which would include their travel time back and forth in this 26 too, just to give her some paid support from my team, which was not in the budget this year. We talked about launching a TikTok channel. So if that's something just to reach that younger demographic, that is where they are. So if that's something we want to do, we'd like to get that started, and that's the fee to do that for the year. And then we really did a ton of media is really into this, and we'd like to do more of it. We even see some opportunities to spotlight Broward County as a leader in this area. And I think if we had a little more dollars in that bucket, we could really show some measurable impact there. So that's the breakdown again on the additional. And, I think the question really is for Sam, if there are there additional funds? And I know we have the 250 coming through from the county that we also need to talk about. So
That's actually my first question. I'd like to see the hard cost increase. Right now it's almost like a 50-50 between agency fees and hard cost. So Sam, do we have that $200,000? I think Waste Management had given us 200. Did we use that?
Yes, we should have additional monies, and I'd like to just kind of keep it open right now instead of having something like pinpointed for what we're going to be using it for, but so it can be brought up at the budget meeting. I mean, it'll be a proposed budget that'll be brought forward to the executive board next Friday, and that money is there. The additional 250 will be there, so it should be there from the.
So it's an additional 250, Sam, you said?
Correct.
Okay. I actually would like to add, I'd like to see that the hard cost go up to 450. If not 5. But again, at the same time, I understand that a lot of the work that you do is a lot of the results that we've been able to achieve, Lori. I understand that that's man hours, and not necessarily hard costs like paying for advertising, etc. But I really would like to see there's a little shift. So here are my thoughts. I'd like to see advertising increase. I'd like to see schools. I know that we have 50,000 earmarked for the curriculum, but I think that if our intention, and we've heard this time and time again as we've gone to different cities about how important it is for us to engage young people. And the curriculum, I think, is one part of what that strategy should look like. So I'd like to see some additional dollars shift from somewhere and go more into the actual hands-on execution of the implementation of that school strategy. What that looks like, I think we don't have to decide that now. Laura, you and your team can come back to us with some additional layers as to what that looks like. $50,000 just really gets us with the curriculum, right? It doesn't do anything additional. And we've heard from cities that they want that. We've heard from the governing board that this is something that's important to them. And this budget doesn't really reflect that because we only have $50,000 of a $650,000 budget allocated towards education. The community partnerships, I think that there should be some dollars there as well. So for example, right now, the $45,000 is really around agency fees. And we know that it takes time and energy to negotiate those partnerships and to show up and execute them. But there will be opportunities for us to sponsor an event, for us to be present in some sort of community activation in a way that's more meaningful. That's going to require hard dollars. So I think that we should have an allocation to that side. Project management, public relations, reporting, communications, and member communications. I know that's all agency fees, as it should be. My other thought is that I really agree with your recommendation around additional video production. I think that for us, the work that we did around trusted voices and the influencer work, to me, it seemed really fruitful. Don't you think, Lori?
Yes, that was the most beneficial thing we have done.
Yeah.
It does
Yeah.
it is a labor of love though.
I know
It
it takes
really
time.
takes time. It doesn't
It takes
just, I
time.
wish it was just hand somebody $500 and call it a day, but to make
Oh,
sure
I
our
know.
message, people don't understand our, the general public we're learning, they really do need to be educated on this. Even
Mhm.
the influencers who are, in the mix and in tune with
Yeah.
what's going on in their community. So it does take a hand, we really do have to give them the assist.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm aware, and just for everybody else that's on the call, could you just give clarity? I know what it takes because I this is my work as well. But Lori, could you just please, just for the public to understand what goes into really activating and working with these types of trusted messengers in each city, what it really takes to get that done, so that and what results you've seen as a product.
Yeah, so we really started with each city public information officer. And of course, we got buy-in on who, first off, I just identifying who the right person is a labor of love because, we have various members that sit on the executive committee and governing board. So they, of course, have input and weigh in on this. Then we work with city staff to identify the person. Then it becomes getting them the right script that they agree with because really this is from their heart. They have to be a recycler or a composter or really into the mission that we're trying to drive here. So aligning a script that works for them. My team works with them. We create the whole asset, the video or the social media component of what we're doing with them. And then after that, we have to then put it up on the channels. And then we usually strategically try to boost it, creating a little geo fence around their area run that ad, manage that ad, deal with all the meta hiccups that exist in today's time with crossing into political messiness or staying on the right side of the fence. The ad gets flagged. Sometimes we have to write to support. Then that community gets to see that person, and then we report on that asset. And with the influencers that are paid, I wish it was just cutting them a check and letting them rip. But, we really do take the time to curate the content to make sure, like many of them, when they were talking about trash, would use B-roll of recycling. And we were like, you can't use that when you're talking about garbage. We're sending the wrong message. So we really try to make sure the information that's going out, we keep as tight control on it as possible. But because they're paid, they let us review it. So we go back and forth with them 2-3 times to make sure what's being pumped out is truly educating the community and is factual.
Mhm.
So it is a labor of love, and then reporting on all of that, following up with them, making sure we get their metrics. And all these people are busy and working, so it's not just one email, it's several emails, several calls to really
Mhm.
solidify it. So yes, it is a
Mhm.
labor of love. And I have very detailed time around all of it because we track
Uh,
all of our time.
So then my final question is, um, the additional services that's here, what's in this part, the bottom, are these all agency fees or hard costs?
Agency.
Okay, yeah, I really would like to see a greater proportion of the budget go to hard costs versus agency fees. I think that that would be what the public would expect for us to do with these dollars. And right now it's a 50-50 split. And then adding an additional $61,000 would actually make agency fee greater than the hard cost. Um, so those are my thoughts.
Which one was that
Member
one on?
Bowman?
Commissioner Dunn, which one was that one on? The, I'm sorry, which line item are you looking at?
Well, I'm looking at all of them. So right now in the first budget, the agency, the budget of $650,000, it's almost a 50-50 split between agency and hard cost, right? You look at this budget, only $334,000 goes towards hard cost. The rest of it goes to agency. And then with the additional service for consideration, which I do agree with the recommendation, that would basically add an additional $61,000 to the agency, which will make the agency proportion of this budget greater than the hard cost.
Okay,
And I don't think that's the right mix. I think it should be, like a 60-40 mix. Again, this is the work that I do, so I do know how important agency time is. So I would like to see to be more concrete in terms of my recommendation. And then Member Bowman, I'll turn it over to you for your thoughts. I'd like to see the advertising go up. I'd like to see us increase the cost around education. I think $50,000 of a $650,000 for an area that we have told member cities that we're going to focus on is not appropriate. And then I think we should put some hard cost dollars in community partnerships. And I'd like for us to really lean more into leveraging the influencers. So Sam, I'd like to recommend that $150,000 from the 250K that we have reserved go into the hard cost portion of the budget.
okay. I've got a question also about on the schools. You've got the 50,000 for the schools, but from what I understand, are you not going to all the schools in Broward County, just targeting some of the schools?
The curriculum is going on in all of the schools, Sam. But
Okay,
only thing that we have in terms of an education strategy for young people is the curriculum. That's it. We don't have anything else. It's a one strategy game.
okay.
Well, can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Member Bowman.
Thank you, Member Dunn. Um, so we have the curriculum that we're going to be rolling out, but we're also working on recycling clubs and having student-led recycling in the school. So we're starting with a core group of schools that already have demonstrated interest or that already have active clubs. And then the idea is to try to get that to, expand that to basically all the schools eventually once we've got a good core group and a process that works. There's, what we've identified already because I've met with the team. They're doing a great job, but we have to have a principal buy-in, custodian buy-in, and then basically a teacher that's very interested in it, and then some student leadership. So that's I think they're ready to talk about that today too. But that also would be nice for us to have support on that because the more student buy-in that you have in each of these schools, the more recycling that we have. So you can have the curriculum, but what we really want are boots on the ground that are actually doing the work.
Yeah.
And then we want to also expand it to composting eventually too. So that's kind of like a side project that we also want to kind of like do like a incubator for that to start doing that in the back of the house in the cafeterias. And that also could potentially be student led.
Do you think $50,000 in the budget is enough to execute those strategies?
I think that we could use more, and I'll pass that to our district leader over here, Lisa. She can speak to that.
Yeah, we have 243 schools. We were going to have with the 50,000. Well, with our initial pilot, I think we were budgeting around 10,000 for 10 schools. So yes, we definitely would need more funding, and I'll share in our present when you're ready for me to share my screen. I'll share what we're thinking about as far as getting teams started with a kit to really identify those students that are doing the recycling, and then as Ms. Bowman said, yes, expanding eventually to composting and education about for them to take home within the curriculum.
If we have 243 schools with 50,000, we're spending $200 per school. Doesn't seem like a whole lot.
No,
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that goes against what we've promised the communities. For example, when we talked about how important education and outreach is, I think that's not a really solid mix.
Okay. I think that's something we need to explore a little bit more, maybe. I don't know. We'll talk, Lori.
Yeah, I understand what Commissioner Dunn is saying, and I know that we have had this money earmarked for the whole year, basically. So I know the money is there. It's just, you know, from the information we had at the time, it was keep the budget the same. So we did that.
Right,
But
right,
now
yeah.
it sounds like we have some room to adjust it, and we will take the recommendations and do that.
Okay.
I see a path forward and a way to work it. Yep.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts about the budget, Member Bowman?
No, I like where you're going with it for the rest. I appreciate your guidance on that.
Okay, thank you. So Lori, we can't vote on anything to make a recommendation because we don't have a quorum. Is that correct?
That's correct, and I don't need a vote at this time since we're just in the draft stage and it is just a discussion to get feedback. So we're going to take this feedback, Sam and I are going to work, and we're going to bring it back to you in September for hopefully a vote of approval so that it can, right, Sam, so the executive committee will look at the draft budget next week, and then in September they will vote to adopt it.
Correct.
Okay, so we're
So-
in line.
So could you send us the draft before it goes to the executive committee? And perhaps you can get consensus from each of us individually so that we're all, you have a consensus from us as to what is being recommended to the executive
Absolutely.
committee.
Absolutely, we can certainly do that before the end of next week when the meeting happens.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, perfect. So we can't vote on the minutes. All right, so then let's move on to the next item, which is our presentation for Broward County Public Schools.
You're muted.
You're muted, Lisa.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, Jeff.
While you're bringing that up, just to let you know, at the Lighthouse Point meeting, they were very vocal about, educating more on recycling. So, which is a good thing. That was some of their key points, is that they wanted to make sure that we stayed focused on educating and increasing the recycling rate, however we had to do it.
Yeah,
So,
that's
so
our messaging.
Yeah.
well, I was on a plane to Detroit, and I was sitting next to this woman who lives in Fort Lauderdale, and she said that she and her neighbors got notices when they put the wrong thing in the recycling bin. They got a letter that was kind of shaming them, like you didn't put the right stuff in your recycling bin. And then the next week they got a nice letter when they had it correct, like
Aw.
congratulating them that they did it right. But she's telling me about this, so it's obviously having an impact, and the neighbors are talking about it. So I don't know how
That would have come from,
feasible a program like that would be, or just to kind of like, spot do that
that's good.
around, but it's kind of cool.
Yes. I'll give commendations to the city of Fort Lauderdale for doing that. And that's an individual city program. That's not, countywide, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just something to think about, because it's if someone's bringing it up to me randomly while I'm talking on the plane, I think that says a lot.
Yes.
Sam, we invite staff from the city of Fort Lauderdale through our governing board member to come share with this committee about that program.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, that would be great. All right, Lisa, that's all yours.
Yeah, that's one of our ideas for the schools. So actually, I'm going to show you what the schools do as far as the little tickets and then the rewards for doing it correctly. So I just a couple of slides just to share. So our timeline is curriculum's being developed right now. We're finalizing, getting it all set, all the I's dotted, T's crossed, getting it all ready. I'm going to show you an outline of it at the end. That will go out to the principals early September, with the opportunity to also participate in that recycling pilot program we're going to share, and also quarterly challenges that we already have. And we started actually at the end of last year. We have STEM quarterly challenges that are open access to anyone. They can go in there whether or not a teacher assigns it. It's right on our website. You can go to browardschools.com/STEM, and you can see quarterly challenges in a variety of STEM areas. And we always have an environmental challenge that will tie into solid waste. We'll be piloting the recycling programs. We're picking 10 schools that have said yes on our survey of yes, we recycle, or yes, we want to recycle and we need help. So we will provide them with a welcome kit and orientation and ongoing checkpoints to make sure that they don't need any support, sharing with them what some successful schools are doing and how they can implement it at their school, so we can try to scale what's working. And again, one of the things that's working is that going around and having students be the little recycling inspectors and giving them rewards and recognition for doing a great job and helping them do better if they have a little problem getting the right things in the right bin. And then we always have our Youth Climate Summit. Thank you. You sponsored it last year, and we had it around solid waste. We can do the same this year, or in 27. It's actually in February. We're working on the location right now, trying to stick with that first Friday in February. It might be at Hollandale High this year, which is a 4-day school. It's been at Pompano Beach for the last 8 years. So we might move it south. We might help with the buses for that area. It's always the bus transportation and how much time we can squeeze out of the day to get buses going the right way and get them back in school in time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use our P3, our Preserving Our Planet for Posterity, as our big award ceremony. We recognize environmental stewardship around the district. And that will be on May 5th at Long Key Nature Center. We have that confirmed. But as part of the lead into that, we'll make sure to reward and recognize these schools that are doing an excellent job at recycling and solid waste management. So kind of tying our programs all together. And schools that anyone who applies actually gets some funding to get started to go back into their program. but they also get that recognition and reward. They get banners if they're doing great jobs. They can really celebrate it at their school. And of course, we have celebrations that we'll work in there for America Recycles Day, which I believe is on a Sunday in November, but it's November 15th. And then, of course, for Earth Week and Earth Day and Earth Month in April. So our quarterly challenge, we have the 4 quarters already established. These will be open to K through 12. It can be a team project like our solid waste audit. These are all tie into them getting their recycling plan done at their school and implemented. So we'll be able to recognize and reward them on a quarterly basis in addition to at the end of the year, kind of trying to reward versus mandate. Make it fun, opt in. It's opt in, 10 schools. Basically, we were trying to get the best practices out of this that we can then scale district wide. So we'll get a cross section of schools, 10 that are doing it correctly or want to do it correctly, that we have that gung-ho teachers, and often it's done after school. So we do want to be able to fund a teacher to do that work after hours if as needed, and be able to support the teams in schools. And I'll show you. So we already have thought that if we get them a kit, we know this has worked in other schools, talking to some of our schools, if you have the kids officially in recycling outfits. And then the tickets, it's hard to see there, but those are they get a ticket if they need help. They found garbage in the recycle bin, trash in the recycle bin, or if they had a great job, give them a little reward sticker. Things that work, even in high school. And then just a little overview of the curriculum. The curriculum is really focused on initially there are 3 lesson modules in each of the grade bands, K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 12, and each of the subject areas. So I'm going to go right to here. We wanted to make sure that the Broward specific problem, so that kids have a buy-in and teachers have a buy-in as to why are we doing this. So that starts out each grade level module, even in kindergarten, learning about why this is important to me, where I live, my place-based learning experience. And then we build up the foundational knowledge of different activities that go along with that on a grade level appropriate level. So, and ending everything in a culminating project or capstone project. So for example, kindergarten would have like a recycling day celebration where they show off what they made from the recyclables or something that they learned along the way, and maybe play recycling games. Planet Protectors showcase for 3rd to 5th grade at the end of the year. And then when we get to the higher grades, we're of course getting a little bit more intense into action and actually having an action plan and executing that action plan over the course of the year, and then celebrating that at the end in the culminating showcase. So for our high school, we're down to getting that zero waste summit and figuring out how we can have a zero waste school, a zero waste home. But what would it take to get to that based on the modules that they've done? That is the last slide. Yes.
Okay, I have some questions. Is there another slide, or could I ask questions? Could we
You can ask
questions?
questions. I was going to show you the just, basically the timeline, I think is
Okay.
Okay. Who are the 10 schools that we're
We
piloting
have
in?
not selected them yet. We've been doing a survey, day 3 of school. So they've been completing the survey. I think we have 125 schools that have completed the survey so far. So we will then see what they're saying they're doing and who's interested, and then pick the cross section across the district.
Okay. And when do you think you'll have those 10 schools selected by?
By when the principal memo goes out at the beginning of September, so probably by the middle of September.
Okay.
Month.
When we have a governing board meeting at the end of September, Sam?
Yes.
Okay, I think it'd be important for us to know who those 10 schools are, what cities they're in. And I think it's going to be important for us to then say to, maybe to have some ideas, Lori, of how the governing board members, because then, you're literally going to be piloting it, yes, in 10 schools, but really it's in 10 cities, right? And so then how can we, as a governing board, support this work so that what's happening in your cities, we then leverage that to then translate it into what's happening in the homes, in the communities. Does that make sense? Yes, Member Bowman.
Thanks. Okay, so I think this is the first we're hearing. I don't know if this is the first I'm hearing. So we want 10 schools in 10 different cities, and then presumably that would be member cities.
Yes,
Okay.
it'd be really nice
100%.
if it would be nice if we'd have one school per each one of our member cities.
Okay. Well, okay, so that kind of changes I'm glad that we
I'm
know
just throwing
that
that out there.
because
That's not not coming from the board, just coming from me as a person.
okay, so that changes, but then we can focus better on that because then we have a better idea of kind of what we need to be doing. So 10, we'll look for 10 schools from 10 different member cities.
Well, let me ask you, is it possible to choose one school per member city?
I
And
mean,
make sure that that spreads out across the district as well?
yeah, I mean, like, so what I was originally thinking, it's easier, I mean, obviously for me, like to go to my district and get people to participate, just because I'm the one on the ground and the one that has the relationships with my principals. Obviously, we have other schools that are doing great things around the district too. But I think it makes sense to have the schools from the different cities so that everyone's represented and has some buy-in, and then those cities could each potentially support that
Oh my
school.
gosh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
That
And,
would be amazing.
and just know you're not. Some of the cities don't have schools. You know, Lazy Lakes, Sea Ranch Lakes. I don't believe
They can
Hillsborough
adopt a
Lakes.
school
That was
and
my
So
question.
you know, you're not going to have 28 schools. You know,
28,
there's going to be
okay.
less than that.
right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Southwest Ranches doesn't have a school, but we're like tied to West Broward and
Rutgers.
Right.
yeah,
Foxborough?
sorry about that. I had it at 9 o'clock. I was sitting around doing nothing, but sorry, I missed the time change.
Well,
No
Anyway,
worries.
so to that point, like maybe it would be nice to know, from our active members and the members of this committee, like if you have a school that you think that you would like to support too, that we could look into, that would probably give us some guidance as well. I don't know, Lisa, if you think that that would be helpful.
Yeah, it might give a little encouragement because I don't necessarily have a contact at all 28 cities.
Yeah.
Well,
Listen, it
I
wouldn't be
think so.
28, but
It would be
probably-
less than that, right?
Right.
Well, I
then-
know in Lauderhill, I believe Larkdale Elementary School already has an environmental club.
Okay.
They have
Yeah, we have a
a
garden.
they have a garden. We actually LHPP actually helped to put in their first food forest type garden a couple of years ago, and the new principal that they have now is very interested in moving that work forward. I think she's actually gotten a grant or two
They have
to do.
they have a couple of grants, and I actually have a grant I'm about to email the principal of that school. That's
Oh,
specifically for
yeah.
that neighborhood school. So
And
yes.
the HOA for Larkdale Elementary School is West Ken Lark. They're very, very, very active and engaged HOA, and they also happen to be right next to a city park.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so this is
That's really-
perfect. Then we can figure this out. And then,
Yeah.
Mayor, you think West Broward High?
yeah, I mean, West Broward would be. I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of is this curriculum geared towards either elementary, middle, or high school?
Yeah, all grades, grade math.
All
K
grades.
through
Yeah,
fifth,
yeah. I
K
think
five,
West
six.
Broward would be the best option around Southwest
Th-
Ranches.
So
And you
this is
and you would
for,
hit
oh, sorry, this is for like a pilot recycling program.
Yeah,
So
this
we're
is
picking
for our
10.
environmental club. I'll
Yeah.
figure. I'm pretty sure we have someone's contact there. I'll reach
Okay,
out and
that's
figure out
fine.
who the contact is there.
Great.
I can get board member Thompson on that too, so that, and she can help us with that. Okay.
Man, I can see, Sam, thank you for making that suggestion that we do it in every city. I think
Yeah,
that
that's
this
great.
would be a great strategy to really engage every single member of the governing board. And then if we go in and say, all right, so here's the school, and then here are some really concrete things that you can do to support this school, particularly like I'm envisioning I mean, I love this whole idea of having a quarterly challenge, right? So as a governing board member, I can bring the student every quarter, I can put them on the commission agenda and have, the teacher or somebody, present what's happening. We can, through communications, push it out so that the community knows this is the challenge that the students are working in. Maybe you want to join the challenge at home. Like, there's so much that we
Oh,
can
yes,
do
that's
to
awesome.
leverage what you're doing. I mean, in a way, this curriculum almost is like a playbook for cities. I mean, we could do our own, like as a municipality, in terms of our own property that we own, we could do our own solid waste audit to see how are we recycling in terms of our parks and our operations. I think this is great. Thoughts?
Yeah. This is, I think it's
Yeah, I
awesome.
think you're right on target.
Yeah. And were you doing the presentation at this meeting here for the upcoming executive committee meeting? Or is it going to be the next one you're going to do your presentation on for this, for the curriculum? For the school board presentation?
Was that the end of September?
Yeah, we had them earmarked for September, Sam, but it's
Okay.
up to the members if they want that to happen at the budget meeting, or if you want to get through budget and then maybe do that in October. It's up to
No, I think
you all to
no,
decide.
sooner the better, I think,
Okay.
so, and that way there we could talk to the governing board. I mean, if you don't have someone already, we could reach out to either the city managers or governing board members, and just say, we're looking for schools in your area that would, if we don't have a school for that area targeted already, or in that city targeted, then we could reach out to either the governing board members and or the city manager. So I've got contact information on both of those. So to look for someone, to look for the school to target.
I have a question or a thought. So I agree that we should talk about this at the next executive committee meeting, which is next week, if you're available, Lisa. And if do we have room on the agenda, Sam?
We should. Unfortunately, I won't be there. I will be on Zoom, but I will not be at the meeting. I've got some surgery on my foot I've got to get taken care of, so I'll be non-weight bearing for 3 or 4 weeks. Not real happy about that, but that's the way it goes. So I believe we will have room on the agenda. We're going to have a draft budget, but if we can just at least bring this up, let me talk to the chair and see if he wants to have that on this one or the next one.
Okay. It'll be great for us to have it on this one, because then what I'd like to do, if possible, Lori, maybe you and Member Bowman and Lisa can kind of have a conversation outside of this meeting to have an additional slide to say how the municipalities can support, like ideas on what the municipalities can do to support this work, so that it's taken outside of the classroom into the homes, because that's a missing connection, right? We're assuming that by teaching the kids are going to go home and have a conversation with the parents, but how can we as municipalities help facilitate that conversation? And so just maybe having an additional slide to share ideas with the governing board members as to how they can then champion this work in the community.
Right, and I think maybe we do it at the governing board level instead of the executive committee level.
Well, I would like for us to have the brainstorming conversation with the executive board first, so that when we present to the governing board, we're rolling out a program.
Okay.
And we're sharing with them how this then connects. And then this is the one concrete way that everybody gets buy-in. Everybody can be active.
Right.
It's not just coming to a meeting, right? It's like, here is a toolkit, or here's a curriculum on what you can do. And so this then supports my idea of having additional funding into this area, because now we need money in order to translate it or give the municipalities some tools that they can then use to take this, to do the quarterly sustainability challenge, for them to reward the young people, for them to, bring this message. Member Bright Cruz and Member Bowman, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're right on target, and you've actually hit on something that I've been a little frustrated with in my own town, because we have a whole group that is very motivated to do zero waste, to do recycling, do the whole thing, but they're like reinventing the wheel, and they're not really attached to all that have developed and are developing as part of the SWA. So I think I love the idea of being able to connect that group, which is really active, really excited, to the materials that we have available, not only because they're great materials, but it's going to unify the message that goes out there.
Yes.
And so I think you're right on target. I
Yeah.
love it.
And I think it'd be a good time too, I mean, because the next meeting will be after our final vote, where we will be moving forward. Positive affirmation there. So we will be moving forward, and the education is a key part of
It's
moving
key.
forward. You've got
Yeah,
two things.
yeah.
You've got the education, and you've got the pricing for two different things. And the education portion. Hey, we're moving forward with the education. Here it is. Here's a school. Here's what we're starting out with the schools, and we need your input on your schools. What schools you want, from your governing board. So reach out to your cities and find out what schools you want us to go to, or if you have schools that are interested already, great. So there may be schools out there that are already doing some of these things, as you said, Mayor Bright Cruz, about some of these organizations. There may be some schools that have some things going also that we don't know about. I guess the school board people would know about those, though. But so anyway, I think it's an exciting time.
Member Bowman?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is a great way to integrate everything and to get the support, like to have the support of the associated municipality. The partnership with the school is gonna be a game changer,
Yeah,
because
agreed.
that just connects all the pieces, and that's
Yes.
I think that's going to be great. And then obviously, like, to take that education part into the community then will be, I think it's great. So just to ask Lisa though, like in terms of, do we want to stick with 10
Well,
schools to
it's
start
more a
with, just to,
budget issue,
okay.
with our current, we have funding left over from last year, so we'll have to talk about for next year's budget. We had budgeted 10.
So you're basically looking at
What
right
would
now.
you
You've got
need, Laura?
So I'll have
Lisa,
to go
what
back
would
and
you-
see how much it is per school.
Yeah, I
for
think
the
we
kits,
should.
it's the hardware kit, the actual
Yeah,
item that we're giving them.
And
I think we
also,
should.
like Lisa, just really quick. So one of the issues I think that for budget wise is if we really want to get an involved teacher or staff
Yeah.
member that's going to support the club,
Mhm.
if we can provide them with a stipend, that
Yes.
also will be a game changer, because then you'll actually have someone you can depend on
Mhm.
that's really going to be able to do it, because they're getting, even if it's, I mean, no one's getting rich from this, but it's just
Yeah.
if you
something to give them, so they're being recognized for their service to the cause.
if you're spending all your money on the total 50,000 was divided by 10 schools, and Lori may want to step into this too, but you've got $5,000 per school. If you're going to 20 schools, it'd be $100,000. I mean, is the school subsidizing part of this also? The school board?
It wasn't the whole 50,000 that was going to the school. Some of it was going for curriculum development
Okay.
and the recognition and rewards that we did even last year. I mean, the original.
And transportation to the summit.
Right.
Okay.
So we don't
Well,
have the 50,000, a lot of, like, that's
Yeah, there's
already
there's a budget broken.
Well, if you can come up with that number sooner rather than later, that way we can use it for our draft budget that we're going to present.
I will get that to you. I can get it to you later today. I just have to talk to my
Okay,
team.
yeah, just go, get it to Lori if you don't mind. That'd be
Sure.
great.
Because we
And
probably
Laura,
just need, oh, sorry.
go ahead, Member Bowman.
No, I was gonna say that like what we pay like club leaders or whatever, if we had that number,
Yes. Yeah,
um
it varies depending on
it's
grade level, so
yeah.
I'll have to figure that out.
Okay, so maybe we could just get like a scale of what the district's paying so we kind of have a idea what that would look like.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then Lori, I think the second part of it, aside from the curriculum, is then what would we need? What would the municipalities need in order to translate this concept of what's on this slide into the municipality level? So if I then wanted to do, if I wanted to do a quarterly challenge with my city, department challenging department, the fire versus police, that kind of thing, what tools would you need to give us? So I'm thinking you might need a toolkit, we might need a promo bit, like all of that piece. And then now, if I as a municipality wanted to translate that even further to the neighborhood level and say HOAs, so West Kenlark, Larkdale is doing this in your school, can we get you to drive this at the neighborhood level? Right? So what tools would you need? And I think we should have a comprehensive budget around that includes what we need in terms of hard costs to execute this at the school level, in the municipality, and then in the neighborhood level.
And just to confirm, the materials that would be provided for this are SWA branded, or are they co-branded with the schools?
Right now they have no brand, but yeah, I mean, the curriculum materials would be
Yeah,
co-branded.
I think before, I would love for the vests, and I don't know how far down the pike you are, but we do have to start, I believe, combining forces and giving the authority some sort of presence if we're going to be doing this sort of
And paying for it.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
not only just that they're paying for it, but what
Whatever
member
you'd like on it.
yeah, what member Dunn and member Breakers are talking about is like amplifying this into HOAs and neighborhoods. So if a kid comes home and there's no connection to the authority, yet it's going out over here on the city level, I don't think people are going to connect those dots. And even
Right.
with it, it's going to take repetition
while.
and many times. Yeah.
Right. And like Mayor Bright Cruz is saying, his group, then when their kids come home and his group sees it, they can go, hey, we want to be part of that. We're doing this, and yeah, we want you to be part of us too.
Yeah. And then Lori, to take that to a next level too, if things are being rolled out at the municipal level. So let's say that we decide that we are going to roll out social media templates, right? That the city can use to promote this challenge at the neighborhood level. Then I think it should be the Broward County Schools, SWA, and the city should have the ability to add their logo to that piece.
Yeah.
Because then that now gives legitimacy, because quite frankly, at the neighborhood level, the community doesn't know who the SWA is.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure that you, Member Bowman, and Member Bright Cruz are okay with us. Yes, we can concept this out in a slide so that we get an idea, but we don't have any funding right now to execute this until the new budget starts. And that's okay?
That makes sense, but I think
Okay.
that this is so key to our success that I think this is more the material we need to get the budget we need to make this happen.
Correct.
So,
And I'm not asking for execution now, Lori.
yeah,
What we're
okay.
asking for is that you pull together a strategy, right? Which we have in the budget hours for you to do that now, correct?
Not really, because a lot of our time has been used up on getting to yes at this point. So I don't have any strategy monies left right now. I think what you were asking for before is if and when this gets presented to the governing board to talk about this piece of what we're going to do. But until we have funding for that, we still have to maintain through September 30 the public meeting notices, our website, our socials, our newsletter. Like there is other work that's earmarked for those
Well,
dollars.
I don't think that we would be dealing with the execution part before October
Okay.
1st anyways, because most municipalities, we're all waiting on bating breath to see what happens with Amendment 3. So, but what I do want is when we talk about it, I do want that the next executive committee meeting, more board meeting, that we roll out an idea and get feedback from the executive board so that in September, we're presenting a solid strategy that's been thought out to the governing board. Once we get the budget passed, and in that budget, we're certainly going to add more than $50,000 on the education side to execute this strategy. And then they know what that allocation is for, just like Member Bright Cruz says. We need something solid in order to justify what we're trying to do.
Okay, we will take it as far as we can.
And is that going to the strategy? Obviously, I mean, 100%, I agree. But will we be able to develop some sort of a number that we would want to present to the governing board to say, this is the budget that we really feel like we're going to need to make this happen?
Yeah, so we had talked about Lisa and Member Bowman getting together to fine tune, what it costs, and then us taking that, Sam and I, and reallocating the dollars and working with the 250 that's coming down through waste management in the county.
But is that going to include this now bigger picture of rolling it out to the municipalities?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I just want to
That's
make
where
sure
the
because
dollars are going to go,
yeah,
Yeah.
because I think this conversation may be less around reallocation of dollars and maybe more just promoting the fact that, hey, now we're at a point where we've got to really do serious education. It's got to really become a top priority and
Correct.
really allocating dollars that maybe the governing board at this point is not even thinking about allocating.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Correct. So, Member Bright Cruz, so the strategy that we agreed on is that Lisa, or that we talked about, not agreed, but we talked about, was Lisa, Member Bowman, and Lori will kind of get together and flush out what it really takes to make this happen. And then Lori will redo the budget and send it to us and have individual conversations with us so that she has a consensus or feedback from us at least prior to the next executive committee meeting, where at that time we'll kind of roll out what our recommendation is and get feedback from the team so that we'll then be prepared to make a formal recommendation in September to the governing board. Are you okay with that strategy?
Sounds great. Sounds great. Thanks.
Okay. So in the interest of time, I would just like to ask for an additional 5 minutes so that we can get some votes done now that we have quorum. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from July 15th?
You do? I'll make a motion to
Second.
approve.
Second? It can only be you, Member Boltman. Do you have a second?
I second.
All right. And so motion carries 3-0. In regards to the budget, you have what you need in terms of clear directions, Lori?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then Lisa, you have what you need as well, correct?
Yes, except for when the meeting is next week. We're sharing next week, but I'll get that from Lori.
I'll send you the link. It's on our website, but I will send it to you in a separate email. It's August 21st at 9 a.m. and it's in person at the Government Center West.
Okay, we'll work it out. Thank you.
All right, and then you guys will get together to add that next slide on how to bring in the municipality and the neighborhood level piece in the execution, how to leverage that, amplify that. Great. I'm super excited. Member Bowman, thank you so much for your leadership working with the school. Lori, thank you for your leadership on getting this done. I'm super excited about it. I think that this is exactly what the members have been asking for. This is really good. I'm excited.
I am too.
Yeah,
This
it's
is gonna be
awesome to
great.
see.
Yes.
It's all coming
Yeah.
together. This is great.
Yes. Any new or old business?
Nope.
All right, Sam, any housekeeping that we need to?
Not that I know of. I'll work with Lori on getting this budget together so we can present it.
All right, perfect. Hearing none, meeting's adjourned.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Y'all take care.
guys. Good job.
Bye.
Adding to the record. Roll call. Chair Dunn. Member Bowman. Member Bright Cruz joined later on in the meeting. We did not have any public comment. The vote on the minutes was deferred to the end of the meeting. The Pledge of Allegiance was taken. Thank you.